8 years. That's how long I've had this project called Monster Hunter. I've gotten into every hunting game I've ever played right away except for Monster Hunter. I tried Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, barely lasted a quest or two before I decided to quit. And at least a couple times every year since then, I'd try it again and fail again. Then Monster Hunter World came out and I didn't even last an entire tutorial mission of the beta. But now the project has been completed. And with that completion, I celebrate the 600th review from Reviews to Go with my first venture into this franchise. Here is my review of Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. Before we begin, let me tell you what this review is not going to be, because I've seen it so much everywhere revolving around this game. This is not going to be a Monster Hunter World versus Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate debate. There is only one aspect of Monster Hunter World that I am going to compare to this game, and it's the same aspect I'll be comparing Monster Hunter Generations and Monster Hunter 4. So if you came here to see someone complain and talk about how much one is better than the other, this is not the video for you. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is like all hunting games are, a third-person hunting action game, otherwise known as a hunting RPG. As you play through the game, you're going to be wandering through large environments, hunting giant monsters, gathering materials, and going back to base so you can use those materials to craft bigger weapons and armor to take down even bigger monsters. Firstly, Generations Ultimate is an enhanced and upgraded version of Monster Hunter Generations that released for the Nintendo 3DS. As such, all of the base content of Generations is packed into this game, along with a staggering amount of new quests, bosses, and more. Now this game does have the traditional hunter way of doing things. You've got a hub village where you've got all your facilities for customizing and creating new armor, items, and weapons, and you've got your quests where you go out into the world and hunt monsters. But I really like the way the hub town works because it's not just one hub town. Living up to its name of Generations, this game lets you visit villages from previous entries of the series, including the village from the original Monster Hunter and the village from the Monster Hunter Freedom series. Even though I barely spent time with Freedom Unite, I still felt quite nostalgic when I saw that I was able to visit its village, and I spent most of my time of the game there. Now let's go into quests. Every chapter has a boatload of different quests you can do, some of them key quests for unlocking the next chapter, and others just for busy work. And considering the game has little to no story, quests are basically what you're going to be doing for the majority of the game. And this is what I was worried about at first. I didn't want to go into a game where I would be doing nothing but 20, 30, 40-minute hunting quests. Thankfully, I was wrong about it. The way the single-player campaign is set up is that it not only gives you dozens of tutorial chapters to teach you all of the different mechanics of the game, but it also has a good variety of key missions. So you have some hunting missions, some slaying missions where you're fighting smaller enemies, and a good deal of harvest missions where you just casually go through the map and collect materials. This aspect I really liked. Not every mission was a giant time sink, and you had a lot of different things to do working up to that long hunting mission. But that doesn't last for the whole game. Once you get past chapters 2 and 3, all of those key quests that have you do a variety of things become key quests where you are hunting bosses every single mission. Granted, there are a lot of optional quests in each chapter where you can do a variety of things, but those don't affect unlocking the next chapter. If you want to keep going in your tiers, you have to do these key quests, and all of them are boss hunts. Now, it wasn't repetitive because of the bosses themselves. This game sports over 90 different bosses, and almost all of them require very different means and ways of beating them. The repetition just comes from how long you're doing each quest. The boss missions go from 10 to 15 minute quests, to 15 to 20 minute quests, to 25 to 30 minute quests, and the further you go, the longer you spend on these missions. And because of how long you're going to be spending at any given time, this is a game where you have to love the combat to be able to keep going and keep enjoying the experience. And that's what I couldn't get past in Freedom Unite. Every time I try the game, I would try this weapon and this weapon and this weapon. I wouldn't really know what to do with it outside of just attack here, attack there, and it really bored me. the enhancements made to Generations and Generation Ultimate changed that. These games had the same sort of pacing as Monster Hunter's always had, but added Hunter style and Hunter arts, giving you different ways to fight, different combos to use, and chargeable, flashy, powerful super attacks that damage enemies and buff your party at the same time. Now to fans of the series, this might just seem like a bit of an enhanced experience, but for me, it feels like a completely different game. I still can't sit down and enjoy Freedom Unite, but I love my setup of Hunter arts in Generations Ultimate. Now let's talk time and, more importantly, content. Monster Hunter has always had a reputation of having longevity compared to the other 20-hour hunting games out there. And a lot of people looking at Generations Ultimate are probably wondering if it's got enough content to be worth that higher price point. And I will just say this. This game is packed with so much content, not even series veterans will know what to do with all of it. To put this into perspective, to show you just how massive this game is, let's compare it to some other Monster Hunter games. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate had over 400 quests. Monster Hunter Generations had over 600. Monster Hunter World had over 140. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate has over 1,100 different quests to do across all of its game modes. In other words, it has twice the content of its original release. And if you want to talk time, it's going to take you at least 40 to 60 hours just to get through the single player campaign to open up the huge amount of post-game content you've got. And if you want to talk about doing every quest and event available in the game, we're talking at least 200 hours. Now let's touch on controls for just a moment. On one hand, the controls of this version are much better than any other handheld Monster Hunter game. The right analog stick really helps things with the camera, but the Hunter arts configurations are always awkward no matter how you set them. You got 3 Hunter arts you can do, and they can be set either to the arrow buttons or D-pad, which makes you do a semi-claw formation if you want to move and use Hunter arts at the same time, or you can set them to the trigger buttons, which works great for the ZL and ZR triggers, but your third art is always the R trigger combined with multiple action buttons, which is just as awkward as the other configuration. Now let's get into presentation. Graphically, the game looks good, all of the assets are upscaled, all of them are smooth, and there are no jagged edges anywhere. But it's pretty clear when you look at the game that these are just slightly upgraded and smooth 3DS assets. There are a lot of environments that have very little detail, or the detail are just flat surfaces, and even some of the character models have a lack of detail in their hair, having little to no texture in the hair and just a flat color. Granted, the game looks great in handheld mode, but when you've got it docked, it's smooth and there are no jagged edges, but the game doesn't do anything to hide the fact that these are just smoothed out 3DS assets. Now, with these being 3DS assets that are smoothed out, battery life definitely benefits from it. Here are my battery times, from 100% to 0%. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 3 hours and 36 minutes. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 3 hours and 52 minutes. Lower brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 4 hours and 46 minutes. Lower brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 5 hours and 20 minutes. That's quite the range we've got there, and I'd say for long play sessions is worth the graphical style. Now, in conclusion, Monster Hunter has finally hit the Switch in the West with an absurd amount of content that'll keep veteran hunters and rookie hunters happy for literally hundreds of hours without repeating anything. Now, the game is brought down by some control hiccups with the hunter styles, but if you can get into Monster Hunter's combat, all of the content crammed into this game is more than worth the selling price. Reviews to Go rates Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch a 9.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below or head to the website at reviewstogo.com. Before I go, I want to thank everybody who's donated both to me and my Patreon campaign. Your donations have quickly gotten my website back up on its feet in the past and continue to be used to bring more content and better content to the channel. So thank you to everybody who's donated, and if you'd like to donate, head on over to patreon.com/reviewstogo. Thanks again for watching, have a great day.